A, B, BB, BB, C, CBB.
Peanut buttery Butterfinger BBs.
Imagine reaching into a crinkly yellow bag, the sound alone bringing back a rush of memories. Inside, tiny, glossy chocolate spheres that promised one thing, that unmistakable Butterfinger crunch in bite-sized perfection. You pop one into your mouth, and suddenly you're transported back to the 90s. These weren't just candies. They were a symbol of childhood energy, bright, chaotic, and impossible to forget. But then one day, they were gone. No warning, no big announcement, just vanished from shelves, leaving fans wondering what happened to the candy that once ruled every vending machine and movie theater snack line. It's hard to describe Butterfinger BBs without talking about the feeling they created. They weren't neat or elegant, they were messy in the best way. The kind of candy you shared at sleepovers, snuck into movie theaters, and sometimes spilled all over the car. Each little BB had that perfect crisp peanut butter layer under smooth chocolate, with a crunch that felt louder than it should have been. They had personality, a little attitude, and that made them special. The 90s were all about going bold. Bright colors, loud ads, and snacks that stood out. BBs fit right in. They were a miniature version of a candy bar everyone already loved, and that bite-sized idea was pure genius. Suddenly, Butterfinger wasn't just a bar. It was an experience. Kids loved the chaos of pouring them into their hands, and parents loved that they could toss a bag into a lunchbox. Butterfinger BBs hit every mark. Familiar yet new, playful but just edgy enough to feel cool. And then there was the mystery. For a candy that defined a decade, their disappearance felt like a glitch in the Matrix. One day they were part of every checkout aisle, and the next, they were gone, leaving behind nothing but rumors and nostalgia. Fans still talk about them today, posting memories, theories, and desperate pleas for their comeback. But to understand why they had such a grip on our collective memory, you have to go back to the very beginning, to see how this strange little candy even came to be.
Is there any snack as crispity? No, there isn't.
J, K, L,
N-O.
P, Q, R, S, T, U, W, X, Y, you little...
Butterfinger BBs.
From Nestle.
See you later, homeboy.
In the early 90s, Nestle was searching for a way to breathe new life into its already iconic Butterfinger bar. The candy aisle was crowded, and snack trends were shifting fast. Bite-sized treats were taking over. M&Ms, Reese's Pieces, and every brand seemed to be shrinking its products into fun-sized versions. So in 1992, Nestle made a bold move. It took its signature crisp peanut butter core and reinvented it as something completely different. Butterfinger BBs were born, a candy that didn't just fit in with the trend but stood out from it. From the start, BBs weren't just candy, they were personality in a bag. The marketing nailed that rebellious 90s spirit. Bart Simpson became the mischievous face of Butterfinger with his catchphrase, "Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger," etched into pop culture. It was perfect timing. The Simpsons were at their peak, and Bart's voice became the sound of snack time rebellion. With that connection, Butterfinger BBs didn't just launch, they exploded. They were designed for fun. The small, round shape made them feel interactive, something you could pour, share, or sneak by the handful. The candy felt different from anything else at the time, a mix of smooth and crunchy that was instantly addictive. The ads leaned into that chaotic energy, bright colors, fast cuts, Bart's attitude, and the promise that these weren't your parents' chocolates. BBs were made for kids who wanted snacks that matched their world, fast, loud, and full of flavor. Even the packaging was a product of its time. That bold yellow bag with blue block letters was impossible to miss. On store shelves, it jumped out like a neon sign in a sea of red and brown wrappers. Every design choice screamed 90s confidence. This wasn't candy trying to be fancy. It was candy that dared you to grab it. By combining smart marketing, perfect timing, and a flavor that already had a cult following, Nestlé created more than a product. It created a cultural icon. Butterfinger BBs weren't just another candy spin-off. They were a reinvention of a classic for a new generation. And for a while it worked, better than anyone expected. By the mid-90s, Butterfinger BBs had become a full-blown phenomenon. They weren't just a snack, they were everywhere. Movie theaters sold them by the handful, vending machines swallowed quarters for them faster than you could blink, and every kid seemed to have that bright yellow bag stuffed into a backpack. People loved the sound the BBs made when you shook the bag, that little rattle before you tore it open. There was something exciting about it, like opening a secret stash of happiness. The commercials made them unforgettable. Bart Simpson was still front and center, wisecracking his way through every TV spot, making BBs feel like the snack version of rebellion. The ads had energy, fast edits, bright colors, and humor that didn't talk down to kids. Butterfinger BBs became part of the 90s cultural rhythm, slipping into lunchboxes and movie nights right alongside Dunkaroos, Surge, and Pogs. People didn't just eat them, they talked about them. Everyone had an opinion about the perfect way to eat BBs. By the handful, one at a time, or frozen so they'd crunch louder. They were small enough to share, but just addictive enough to make you not want to. The flavor balance was perfect. That crisp, buttery peanut center under a thin coat of milk chocolate, delivering a mix of sweet and salty that no other candy quite matched. The more you ate, the more you wanted. At their peak, BBs had that rare mix of fun and familiarity. The nostalgia of Butterfinger with a new twist that felt made for the MTV generation. They were candy as entertainment, and for a few shining years, nothing else came close. But trends change fast, and even legends can fade. What no one expected was how quickly BBs would fall, and how much people would miss them when they were gone.
If you love the mouth-bending blast you get from a Butterfinger, but just want a little, now you can have it with Butterfinger BBs. Bite-sized bursts of crispity, crunchity Butterfinger that give you blast after blast. Have a Butterfinger blast from Nestlé.
The decline of Butterfinger BBs didn't happen overnight. By the early 2000s, the candy market had shifted. Health trends were creeping in, and the snack aisle was filling with mini and bites versions of almost everything. Butterfinger BBs, once the trendsetter, suddenly had imitators everywhere. But the real problem wasn't competition, it was the candy itself. Rumors suggest that Nestlé struggled with the BB's biggest flaw. They melted too easily, the very thing that made them fun. Their round shape and thin chocolate coating turned them into a sticky mess in warm weather. Stores complained, customers grumbled, and slowly, BBs began to vanish from shelves. By the mid-2000s, they were gone, replaced in 2009 by a new idea, Butterfinger Bites. But the comeback didn't land. Fans said they didn't taste the same. The texture was off. The coating too thick, the magic missing. The new version felt more like a corporate rebrand than a return. Online, longtime fans vented their disappointment, calling the new bites a sad imitation of the candy they grew up with. Forums filled with nostalgia and frustration, and petitions popped up begging Nestlé to bring the original back. Even years later, the company stayed silent. It wasn't a scandal. It was more like heartbreak. Butterfinger BBs didn't crash because of controversy or bad publicity. They simply faded out of existence, victims of practicality and changing times. But for fans who grew up shaking those yellow bags, that quiet disappearance left a hole no candy has ever quite filled. Today, Butterfinger BBs live on as a memory, one of those rare snacks that refuses to die in the public imagination. Scroll through Reddit or TikTok and you'll see them everywhere. People sharing childhood stories, posting old commercials, and even trying to recreate them at home. Some freeze Butterfinger bites, hoping they'll taste closer to the real thing. Others keep empty BBs bags as nostalgic trophies. It's not just about the candy anymore, it's about what it represents. For millennials, BBs capture a moment in time. The after-school rush to the corner store, the smell of popcorn at a 90s movie theater, the neon chaos of a world that felt simpler and louder. They remind us of when snacks were fun, ads were bold, and everything came with a catchphrase. There's still hope, of course. Every few years, talk of a Butterfinger BBs comeback resurfaces. Fans flood social media with pleas and mock-ups of what a relaunch might look like. The love hasn't faded. If anything, it's grown stronger with time. Maybe one day, Nestlé will listen. Because if the internet has proven anything, it's that nostalgia sells. Until then, Butterfinger BBs remain a sweet ghost of the 90s. The candy that melted too soon, but left a taste we can't forget. Maybe that's what makes them special. They're a reminder that some things aren't just snacks. They're memories sealed in chocolate, waiting for the day they might return.